Hey, good evening, Indiana. Welcome to the Who's Left Podcast, a show about Indiana politics, history, and culture from an unapologetically leftist perspective. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers, and I'm broadcasting from Bloomington. Joining us shortly will be tonight's guest, Indiana's own Dana Black, a dynamic public speaker, organizer, fellow podcaster, and all-around ball of fire. Dana has lived the vast majority of her childhood and all of her adult life in Indianapolis and is a proud graduate of North Central High School. She received a BS in Information Systems from Indiana Wesleyan University and an MBA with an information technology focus from Southern New Hampshire University. She has run as a candidate and served as deputy chair of engagement for the Indiana Democratic State Party, where she served for 4 years. She appears regularly as a panelist on the Indianapolis Sunday shows and helps Democrats amplify their message as host of the Turn Left podcast. Tonight, we're going to look at the state of the Indiana Democratic Party. As one of Indiana's most well-connected Democrats, Dana will be able to provide rare insight. But before we get there, a quick ask. This is an independent media project. We don't paywall content. We don't have advertisers. We don't have billionaire benefactors. Only individuals like you keep this thing going. It is a foundational principle of Who's Left and the Progressive Indiana Network that we refuse to hide valuable information behind paywalls in the middle of a political crisis, even if that's not in our financial best interest. So please, if you find value in this work, go to progressiveindiana.net and subscribe at the paid level. It's only $5 a month or $50 a year to help us build the infrastructure that will pop the right-wing media bubble in this state. And if a paid subscription isn't in the cards for you right now, I get it. That's okay. You can still help out by liking and sharing on social media, commenting, leaving reviews, providing feedback, and forwarding it to your people. You get us next time. Mostly, we just want you here in this community of Hoosiers dedicated to making this state and its government work for all of us, not just the elite few. Please join us. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at whosleft.us and on the rest of your social media sites at Who's Left. Progressive Indiana Network's handle is the full spelled out name on most sites, but on Blue Sky and TikTok, where you don't get all that many characters, it's PIN Indiana. Please help us grow with a follow wherever you're at. Tell the others. Let's build a radically democratic Indiana together. Now, everybody, let us give a big round of applause to Indiana's own Dana Black. Dana, welcome.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's happening, people?
It is an honor to have you here. I'm so glad we finally get a chance to do this.
Absolutely. And it's not often that I get to be the guest, so I'm like enjoying the fact that I just get to sit back and take it all in.
It's weird. I'll tell you what. I'll make you a little uncomfortable tonight, and then a couple weeks from now, you'll put me in the hot seat, and we'll do this all over again. All right. So, listen, for those who don't know you, and I bet most people in Indiana who are watching this program know you, but just in case they don't, why don't you introduce yourself?
Ooh, okay. So, Indiana's own Dana Black. I like to go by that moniker. I picked that up when I was running for the state house against the Speaker of the House back in 2016. And I chose it because at the time I had long locks. I am a masculine dresser. I'm a masculine of center lesbian. And so when I would go knock on doors, I wanted people to know that I wasn't just some strange out of space being from, New York land. Right. I was raised right here in Indiana and I have Hoosier values. I just decided to show up as myself. So, my work all of the work that I do stems from 2014, seeing a RFRA on the ballot, which was the legislation that said that it was okay to treat LGBTQ plus folks differently in public accommodations. And I know that I had picked up a history book in my lifetime and we had already had that discussion. And here we are having it again. And so it just kind of made me angry. And so I decided, you know what, at the time, the person I ran against was the one that was creating all the drama as the Speaker of the House. And so I wanted to, cast my rebellious vote against him in the general in 2014. And there was no Democrat on the ballot. And I'm like, wait, what? And I've been voting since 1988. I picked it up and turned it over and where are the Democrats? So I vowed that that wasn't going to happen again. And so, and here's one of the things I can say. Um, I I ran in 16, but there has been a woman and another woman of color that has ran in District 88 ever since that run. There's not that seat has not gone uncontested, and I love that. Even after they redistricted it. And I'm just the loudmouth in Indiana Democratic politics. I'm not anything special other than I'm passionate about electing people who are going to write good policies that improve lives. And that's what I'm about. And I like sports. You know, I'm a Colts Pacers Fever fan. I live in Indy and yeah, I like R&B music.
I'll tell you what, it's been rough Pacers this year with Hallie out. It's tough to watch, but I think after a down year, things will be better once he gets back.
Yeah.
Dane, I say it every time I see you. You said you voted for the first time in 1988. You do not look like you were old enough to vote in 1988. You look great.
I
Um,
was. I thank you. Thank you. I actually got to vote at 17 in the primary for Jesse Jackson. Got, you
I
know,
was just gonna
RIP,
ask about that.
RIP,
Yes.
RIP. But in the general, because my birthday was in June, and so the primary was in May. And you know, the rule is if you turn 18 before the general, you get to vote in the primary. So at 17, I cast a vote for Jesse Jackson, and then my first general election was for Michael Dukakis. Yeah, I'm 55,
Man,
boo.
yeah.
I don't mind telling people I'm 55 because I made it. I beat the odds. See, they didn't have the internet back in 1991 to chronicle what I was doing when I turned 21. So I made it.
Yeah, boy. Now look, the people they do the chronicling for themselves.
Oh my God.
People be putting it all out there, right?
All of it. All of it. No, thank you. So I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I'm trying to be better every day. Like, you know, I don't exercise like I should, but I still try. You know, I don't eat like I should, but I try. You know, I'm not afraid to say that I get assistance with my weight. But I I love life and I figure I only get one, so I might as well live it to the fullest.
100%. So listen, let's get into what we're here to talk about. Talk
Okay.
politics. Now,
Let's do it.
think we're in a very unique time, certainly, and as such, both parties are kind of going through some things right now, and just for fun, I kind of want to start with the Republicans. Look at what they're up to. We're going to spend most of our time talking about Democrats because that's where
Okay.
we're at. But we talked about this this past Sunday on Who's Left This Week, and Michael Beckwith last Friday, I want to say, put out a video calling out State Senator Ron Alting of Lafayette, putting him on blast because there were Alting made some subtle digs at Beckwith during session during a committee hearing, and Micah didn't take that terribly well,
Mhm.
and put Senator Alting on blast, called him out for the few times when he's maybe gone against party orthodoxy, and it's really symbolic, I think, of a larger sort of rift in the Republican coalition that they're having right now. If you go back to December and the redistricting fight and everything that went around that, for folks who sort of don't know what's going on, President Trump said, "Hey, let's draw these congressional maps. We need to get 9 Republicans in Indiana elected." They were going to carve up Indianapolis into 4 districts, put congressional lines like straight through the middle of historically black neighborhoods. One of the most egregious gerrymanders I've ever seen. And even some Republicans, enough in the state Senate, said that's a bridge too far. And they rejected this. Indiana, we did not redraw our congressional maps. And it was a very contentious fight. Some of the senators and maybe some of the House representatives, it wasn't as contentious there, but some of the senators, they got bomb threats, they got death threats, they got doxxed, they had, you know, uh, police sent to their house, they got swatted. What do you make of the state of the Republicans currently?
So before I dig in real hard, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. One thing I can say about Hoosiers, be they on the right or on the left, we don't like to be bullied. And those Republicans may have now. Senator Bray had already said he didn't have the votes. Ain't no sense of wasting time. But I will give the Republicans who were attacked and who were threatened and the attempt to intimidate them, they stood up and said, nah, we still ain't voting for this. And so I got to give credit where credit is due because at least they stood on something. Now, that being said, I don't think they rejected redistricting out of the goodness of their heart and the belief that every citizen should have equal representation. Nah, I don't think that at all. I think the reason why they rejected it was because voter turnout and voter apathy is so low in Indiana, and specifically Indianapolis. Can you imagine the amount of activation that redistricting would have done? And the way they divided up Marion County, listen, we're talking about over 600,000 registered voters. And you divide that up into quarters. So that's 200,000 registered voters in each one of those congressional districts that you would have split up. You don't think that those 200,000 people getting activated would have offset the 8,000 that are in some of these other counties? The 2,000 that are in some of these other counties? We still had a significant enough numbers in Marion County. If we get the turnout up over 60%, we would have picked up a seat. And I think they were smart enough politically to say, they ain't really been showing up. So why don't we just leave them alone? They would have activated Marion County in a way that they think about it. If we get up over 65% turnout, because lately it's only been around 41, 42%. We get that up in the 60s, we're flipping statewide seats, brother. You see what I'm saying? So they didn't want that smoke. Now, the internal fighting started when Micah Beckwith began his campaign for lieutenant governor, during the election of 24. He was not Mike Braun's pick. He was not somebody Mike Braun wanted. But little Micah weaseled his way in by going out there. Because, see, people don't even realize he's been a chaos creator ever since he came on the public scene. Go ask the Hamilton County Library Board. Right? He's a chaos creator. And so he made a little name for himself. And then he, attacking gay people, attacking DEI, and attacking all these other things. And so he was a problematic to begin with, but he was so problematic that Mike Braun, the states should determine interracial marriage, Mike Braun, was like, oh no, he's too bad for me, right? Think about that, right? And so when he won, at their convention, there's always been this contentiousness. So there's a divide in the Republican Party between Republicans and MAGA. And MAGA is the loud people in the room trying to force this white supremacy, Christian nation nonsense on everybody. The problem with Republicans, because they want all the tax breaks, all the tax cuts, and I did this all by myself, they capitulate to get what they want. And now you have this craziness in our nation right now. We needed those folks to be the Adam Kinzigers, the Liz Cheneys, to say, no, our democracy comes first. But they wouldn't do that. So this is what you have. That fissure is going to be there until the next convention, and they try to vote somebody else in to run with Mike Braun for reelection. But hopefully by then, people are seeing that after 20 years of Republican rule in Indiana, life is not better for people. Life is not better. So hopefully people will try something different.
Well, yeah, and you can see that their extremism, right, is getting folks energized, and I don't know if it's necessarily the Indiana Republicans and their extremism. They're bad. They've been bad.
Micah Beckwith is definitely bad.
We're over 20 years of Republican supermajority rule here. We went through the Mike Pence era, right? He was as bad as Beckwith, and that didn't move the needle for Democrats here. We're still going on that losing streak. But Trump and his overreach at the federal level and all of this ICE stuff, I think really has folks across the political spectrum energized, say, man, we got to do something. And as such, there is energy on the Democratic side. This year, for the first time since I want to say 1974, Democrats are contesting every
Every
Senate
race.
race. That's 25 out of the 50. And in the House, I want to say we're up to 92 of those seats are being contested. That's been in 70s,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
last couple cycles where we're leaving a lot on the table. Now, look, down ballot, there's still a lot of open seats where Democrats
Sure.
really need to like get involved stuff at the county level,
Sure.
township level. There's still a lot of work to do. But what do you make of the energy on the Democratic side right now?
I love it. I flat freaking love it, because instead of folks saying who are the Democrats going to put up to run in this seat or that seat, people are stepping up and say, I am going to run in this seat or that seat. One of the things that drives me crazy is when people say, what is the Democratic Party doing? And I have to remind people the Democratic Party is not only our elected officials, and the Democratic Party is not only our party leadership, but it's also the rank and file. It's also the voter. So when you're asking, what is the party doing? People need to look in the mirror and say, well, what am I doing? Because if you're a Democrat and you vote consistently Democratic, then you need to be asking yourself, what more can I do? Because the only person in the Democratic Party that's getting a paycheck, and I'm talking about at every level of party leadership, the only person that's getting a paycheck is the state party chair. Everybody else is a volunteer. So everybody, if all these people can be volunteers, you can be volunteers. Now, I'm excited about the energy, and I'm so excited about the energy. I want these folks to run competitive campaigns. Can I make a plug?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I'm so excited that I want these candidates to run successful campaigns, so much so that in conjunction, IDAC Indy, the Hamilton County Democrats and the State Party Democrats are hosting a candidate training on February 28th up in Westfield. Go to Mobilize. You can find it there. You can go to my Facebook page. The link is there to get signed up, because here's the deal. In my everyday life, I'm talking to candidates every day, all day. And the one thing that I know for certain is that a lot of candidates don't actually know how to run a campaign. They have the passion, right? They have the desire to be the change. They're successful in their careers that they do for a living. So we know that these candidates are intelligent. We know that they have what it takes to win. They just got to learn how to run a campaign. And so what we are doing is we're going to supply them with that. And if they have the energy to put their names on the ballot, we as Democrats who know how to do these things, we're supposed to be stepping up and offering them the help that they need. So I'll be conducting the training. So hopefully you don't get tired of my voice tonight, because it'll be 6 hours of me talking on February 28th. But I'm excited about the energy. I think it's great. I think the other thing is we have pretty much every congressional district is contested in the primary. I think that's fantastic. Like, we've got people running at every level of our government because they are seeing how problematic it is when you let authoritarianism, strongmen, and capitulators run our government. Scott, I'm a lesbian, and I know people know that. And in my time of my existence on this planet, I've had lots of men try to challenge me because they think because I'm masculine of center that I want to be a man. Never have wanted to be a man. I'm not trans. I like being a chick. I just like showing up my way. But here's what I'm saying. All these people that question me, I want to know where their balls are at. There's a whole bunch of men running around being innies when they should be outies. And they are so chicken shit scared of a damn near 80-year-old McDonald eating orange man with the worst comb over in America. Where are they? Where are these men? They are so scared of this man. And he's incoherent and he's a liar. So I think people are seeing that there are so many people out here who do not have the spine to stand up for our democracy. I also think, we are so indignant about being Americans, right? Like we go places, I'm an American, right? We be indignant about it. we're so indignant about it, Scott. We go to other countries and expect people to speak English. That's how indignant we
Mm-hmm.
are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that indignation is showing up, and how dare you try to take care of my rights, right? I really believe that righteous indignation is like, nah, I'm an American. We supposed to have this, that, and the third. And these people are like, nah, we're not doing this. So I love it. There's lots of reasons why people are showing up, and I flat love it.
There, listen, I'm gonna throw back to the '90s here and hit you with a little Rage Against the Machine. And that whole, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me kind of attitude may
Mhm.
very well be what keeps us from fully descending into fascism. Because,
Exactly.
like, no, we don't. This is America, damn it! Like,
It's
nobody tell
American.
me what to do.
I'm an American. How dare you? Like I really I feel that to my bones. Because we could go to other people's countries and be like, "Do you speak English?" that you saw how crazy upset they were at Bad Bunny and the
Oh my god!
halftime show.
Right?
The American that was at
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they went out of their minds, but that's just that righteous indignation. And I love. I tell you what, um, the Minneapolis situation also gives me like all the hope in the world, because strangers are stepping up for neighbors, not just being ice watchers, but going grocery shopping, making sure that they have what they need on a personal level for people who are afraid to go out, babysitting, doing all the neighborly
Mhm.
things to make sure that their fellow Minnesotan or whatever they call themselves, Gopher, I don't know, um, that they are
Mi Minneapolis? Yeah, no, I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what a
whatever.
person from Minneapolis calls himself, yeah.
Whatever they call themselves, they are showing us what true patriotism looks like and looking out for your fellow citizen. And man, I am inspired by that level of patriotism.
100%. So, I think with that energy, with that, nobody tells me what to do
Mhm,
attitude, and you combine that with, the energy and people wanting to get involved in the Democratic Party here.
mhm.
Um, let's talk about your training. Now, uh, no criticism of you, okay? So let me just put that on there first.
Bro,
But
we listen,
uh,
we just gonna have a conversation, okay? So
okay.
don't parse your words because I'm here. Let's get it.
So I'm not here to shit anybody in anybody's punch bowl, but
Okay.
let me say, like, some might say, um, what does the Indiana Democratic Party know about winning? How are they going to
Mm,
be like, well, this is how you run a race? Well, I mean, we haven't run a winning race, at least at the state level, in 30 years. So, I guess, what do you say to that? Like, how do we incorporate the new energy and the new ideas that people are bringing in without telling people, well, this is how we've always done it, when how we've always done it hasn't necessarily always worked?
Well, first of all, I actually disagree with you on not knowing how to win. We are winning in places where our numbers are good. We know how to win elections. Think about the fact that in was it 23, we elected was it three black women as mayors of their cities?
My
We are
hometown, Michigan
y-
City, Angie Nelson
yeah,
Deutsch.
and
Yeah.
down in Evansville and Lawrence, Indiana, and we know how to win at the municipal level. It's just the numbers, and our Democratic numbers are not the same in these small towns. I would say where we as a party began to lose is when we began to see a decrease in union participation. I would say the decline of union participation, and the Clinton administration didn't do us any favors with NAFTA. So there, when unions started to turn away from us, is when we started to see a decline in our ability to win statewide, especially in rural Indiana. Now, I believe so. They don't call it political science for nothing, right? There's a reason why they call it political science, and there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why you do everything. How you execute it is still on you. I can give you all the tips, tricks, tools, and best practices, but you still have to have what it takes, the fortitude to execute it. So, for example, when I ran for office, I took 3 different trainings. I took a local training, I took a statewide training, and then I took a boot camp, where they locked me in a hotel for 4 days, and I learned how to run a campaign. I did not win my race against the Speaker of the House, but I received the most votes that anyone had received against him, running against him in that district up to that point. And I was able to turn that loss into a win by all of the other work that I've been able to do since. So we can teach people how to run these campaigns, and then there's going to be places where it is 55-45 or even tighter, and we're going to be able to flip those districts in some of those seats because we've given them the right tips and tricks and tools to get the job done. Because I think I believe the bell curve is real, right? I believe that there are more people in the middle than there are on either fringe or either edge. And a lot of people disagree with that. That's fine. But the bell curve is a scientific thing, right? I believe that we have an opportunity to flip some of our independents and some of our lean rights who are appalled at what they are seeing this administration do. I think that they are tired of the lies. I honestly, you really can't fix stupid. So there's not much hope that I have for those. And I know I ain't supposed to do that, but you can't fix stupid. But I think we do know how to win. And we have enough, people in the party, whether they're elected or not right now, who have lived experiences on how to win elections. And we're just going to share that knowledge. And it's up to these candidates to apply that knowledge.
You're giving them the nuts and bolts. It's like filling in like an outline, or you give them the skeleton. This is what you got to do here. I mean, like, you need to know how to check the boxes and which paperwork to fill out and when deadlines are and all that. But that you add your own flavor, your own personality.
But see, I think it's more than just that. It's not just the mechanics of the paperwork. It's not just that. It's when you go canvassing, how do you knock on the door? What should your walk look like? How often should you call people? How often should you send an email out? What should that email look like? What should you say? You know what I'm saying? How should you use paid media? How should you use? There's like, I think that the conversation is bigger than just I filed to run for office. And honestly, I think that's a lot of our problem is people think all they have to do is put their name on a ballot and that should be good enough. No, there's work involved, and that work is intense for the time that you're on the ballot. Now, here's the thing. I applaud anybody who is willing to sacrifice family time, that's willing to sacrifice personal time, vacation time, leisure time to run for office, because it's not easy if you do it right. It's not. So I tip my hat, and I am willing to help anybody that is willing to sacrifice themselves to run a good race. Because a lot of people think that the party, no matter the level, is supposed to give you money. Let's think about that, shall we, Scott? Can we think about that for a minute? So say you're the state party and you have 9 congressional districts, you have 100 state house, 50 Senate seats, you have multiple municipals level races, multiple county level races. How is the party supposed to give all these people money? Is that financially sustainable?
And they got none. The state party ain't got no money. Yeah.
Even if they were flush, is that a sustainable practice? No, it's not. There's no way, because people don't even understand what the role of the party is. And it's again, there's fault to go around. The party should do better at explaining what they're here for. I believe that 100%. They should be touting, this is what we're here for. This is how we're supposed to help you. But at the same time, if you are intellectually curious, you're going to go find out and get answers to some of these things as a candidate. I know I did. And Nicole always tells me, Dana, everybody's not like you. So you can't expect people to do what you do. But my philosophy is I want to do something right, I'm going to learn how to do it so that when I put my name on the ballot, I was prepared to run for office, and come what may, I was going to bust my butt to try to win as many votes as I could. I was am a political junkie, and I knew what my chances were of winning that race, slim to none. but I ran it like I could win, and people saw that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not
Yeah.
speaking from inexperience. I've done it.
And it is very much a team sport. Like,
Yep.
they're especially at the state level. You rely on Democrats. I think since maybe the Obama election have got in this habit of just focusing at the top of the ticket, whether it's at the presidential level or Indiana
Mhm.
at the governor or the Senate or the congressional level. Even when I'm a big fan of the work of David Pepper, currently running for lieutenant governor in Ohio now,
Oh,
but also a prolific author. And he explains the way that you push the up ticket race over the top is by having people in all those down ballot races. And
absolutely.
that's not like by not filling every seat, which we are doing this year, right? We've left a lot of votes on the table because maybe in these small towns where there's no other option, people are
Mhm.
like, well, why do I bother? Why
Why do
do
I
I
bother?
even go out and
Mhm.
vote? And that's 10 votes here, and it's 20 votes there, and it's 100 votes over here, and all of those, you add them up, that's going to help put you over the top. And we've been looking for coattails, and really it's boots that you need, not coattails, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think about Christine Bohm, one of my favorite county chairs up in Huntington County, one of the reddest counties in the state, and she has filled her slate. She's filled it in Huntington County. Huntington County, they have a Democratic headquarters. They have a place for Democrats to meet in red Huntington County. So it can be done, right? And I agree with you. Down ballot is, I wish more people would run for more down ballot races for the first time versus running for Congress for the first time. Like,
Mm,
I,
yeah.
I, I do, but people do what they want to do, right? I think even I probably shouldn't have ran for state house for this first time, knowing what I know now, right? But this, I think the down ballot races are so important, but I also encourage people to figure out what their passions are. Like for me, my passion was the bills that are coming out of the state house. And I talk about me not because I'm arrogant or self-centered or narcissistic. It's the story that I know the best. So that's why I can't talk about other people like I talk about me. So when I, because you know, so when I became passionate about the state house, it was because I recognized how much power the state house has, right?
Mhm.
The state house can prevent federal legislation from being pushed down, and your state house can dictate what municipalities do. That's powerful. And while we are focusing in at the federal level, while we were focusing in at the level executive the federal level when Obama won, the Republicans were flipping state houses,
Yes. Yes.
and
Systematically.
now look at gerrymandering. Now look at how people are redistricting. Now look at all these anti-abortion bills that are coming out to these states. While we were focused on, oh my God, we got a black family in the White House, they were flipping state houses. And so now we got to play catch up. That being said, to agree with you, you know, these down ballot races are so critical because that's also how we build our bench. That's how that's how you learn what compromise looks like and negotiating things. That's how you learn to work across the aisle. Because everything local, it really don't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat when you need a pothole filled.
Mm. Well, you know what? I'm glad you went there and mentioned potholes because Indianapolis is notorious for them. But let's talk about Indianapolis and Marion
Right.
County,
Okay.
and we talked about turnout
Uh-huh.
earlier and how
Yeah.
it is especially not
Abysmal.
great in
Abysmal.
Marion County. Now,
Mhm.
this is a place that has had Democratic leadership for the last several years. Joe Hogsett's in what, his third term now. We've had a lot of folks that have been around that machine for a while, and I feel like a lot of folks are maybe not happy with it, and especially with Hogsett. And I'm not trying to call a lot of people out by name in this discussion. If we have disagreements with certain folks in the party, I will call out Joe Hogsett by name because that his administration is incompetent at best and corrupt at worst. And you've got the stuff with Thomas Cook and the harassment and the sexual assault going on in his office. You've got the self-dealing that was happening in his office. You've got the way that he's throwing public schools under the bus in Indianapolis going on, like with Democrats like these who needs Republicans. And I think it's especially pernicious because, like you said, this is a 600,000 people. That is like a sixth of every Democrat in the state is in Indianapolis, the biggest media market. When you hear an Indiana Democrat, you see an Indiana Democrat in the news, chances are it's Joe Hogsett, and he's dragging down the brand for everybody. And you can maybe see why folks haven't been turning out in Indianapolis. Is it that? Is it him? Is there something else going on? Maybe you can tell.
So I think it's a combination of things. The only thing I'm going to push back on, I don't actually disagree with a lot of what you said, except for the fact that you said that Hogsett was throwing public schools under the bus. I disagree with that because it's in anticipation of state legislation that's coming down to take over IPS. So there's the state legislation, the state house, the majority super majority Republicans passed a bill that said they're going to create this body to take over IPS. So he's kind of having to do what the Republicans are kind of making him do. I don't like it. So the option is he doesn't do it, and then IPS, then the Republicans, because they've been trying to take over IPS for the longest time with their charter school bullshit. Oh, sorry, with their vouchers, all of that.
Worse.
right. I mean, the whole goal is. See, here's my thing: if charter schools and voucher schools were so fantastic, why aren't they in Hamilton County? Why aren't they in Boone County? Why aren't they in some of the highest income per capita places? Because they're so fantastic. The deal is that they know that at the State House, they could dictate that the most money is in IPS because the tax dollars, tax revenue, and they're trying to control those tax dollars. They have been trying to take over Indianapolis for a long time because we are the economic engine for this entire state. Now, why are we not getting turnout? I say it's a multitude of things. I think after Joel left as party chair, things started to shift a little bit. And I don't think the focus was on getting people engaged at a local level. I can say as a member of the party at different levels, we didn't do what we were supposed to do, right? I would also say that a lot of times people forget that Marion County is 30% Black. Happy Black History Month. It's 30% Black. And if you are at the top of the ticket and you don't have a message for 30% of the largest Democratic base in the state of Indiana, it's not going to turn them out. And one of the things I heard after the 2024 election was that the party didn't speak to Black people in the community. I took that personally because here I am. I call myself the loudest mouth in Indiana Democratic politics, and I'm definitely Black. I'm so Black, my last name is Black. But yet and still, my community felt like they weren't being talked to. So we as the party has to do better. And I know that Mila is working on some things, and she's brought in Megan to be an executive director. So they've got some projects that they're working on. They released a plan, which I like. They released a plan on how we're going to accomplish these things. But at the same time, if you're at the top of the ticket and you are running at the top of the ticket at a statewide level, if you don't have a message for 40-second in post, get the fuck out of here. You're not going to win. You're not going to get the votes that you need to win a state level race. I have told both Secretary of State candidates, you better have a message for 30% of the largest Democratic voting bloc in the state of Indiana. And if you don't, you will not win. If you do not turn out Black people, you cannot ignore our issues. You can't ignore us and expect to turn out Indianapolis. It's just not going to work. So people going to be mad when I say that. I don't care, but it's the truth.
No, you're 100% right. And you know what? I want to go back to, we're talking about Reverend Jackson earlier in the show. And I think about the direction of the party and what it could have been had it gone in his direction, and then the direction it took under Bill Clinton. And I think we're still having that fight. We've gone down the Clinton direction, especially in Indiana. If you look at the Evan Bayh machine, I always say Evan Bayh is Bill Clinton with like half the personality. And that machine is still very much deeply rooted in Indiana politics, and you know, you talked about the bell curve and getting those independents and maybe getting some of those soft Republicans and the Adam Kinzingers and the Liz Cheneys. Well, the more you chase those, are you letting your Black community just hang?
Well, but see, you're assuming that the majority of Black people are progressives or ultra progressives or ultra left. That's an assumption. Right?
Oh, no, not at all. But I'm just saying it's a different message. If you're chasing the white suburbs,
I don't think
if you're trying to flip Hamilton County, that message maybe doesn't resonate the same in Marion County.
Okay, and see, that's my point. I don't think that you chase a specific block of the party. You speak to the audience in front of you. And if you are talented enough, it's not a matter of flip-flopping or changing your stance, but you pick up on the issues that matter to that community and you speak to them. I don't think we've had a candidate in a while that has been able to actively and correctly understand that, no, the message that you have, even in Marion County, what you talk about at 79th and Meridian is very different than what you talk about at 38th and Meridian. It's very different. But we keep thinking, when they say chase the middle, I'm not saying chase the middle, because I don't think that our people are so stupid that make America great again, dumbass slogan is going to be enough for complex issues. That's a simple slogan for complex issues. I think it is important that if you are a politician who is trying to earn votes from a vast majority of people, then you need to study the people in those spaces, understand what those needs are. And the only way you're going to do that is if you ask questions. You have to ask the electorate what their pain points are. Where do you see you need help? If I am elected, what would you like me to see? No, we too busy. A lot of our candidates are too busy dictating what they gonna do and how they gonna do it. But if you've never spent time in specific, for example, I remember when I ran for office, I had the opportunity, I was invited to meet with some DACA folk. And at that time, I didn't know nothing about dreamers. I didn't know anything about dreamers. I didn't know nothing about them. And I sat and I listened to them tell me what they needed. And as I was able to listen to their concerns at the time, they wanted to be able to get driver's licenses so that they could get the insurance, so that they could drive safely back and forth to work. That was what they were talking about in 15 and 16. Now it's obviously different. But I didn't know, so I had to sit and listen. And then I was able to craft my message based on what they told me to do or what they needed from me. So I'm not saying that you chase anybody. No, you go find out what people need. You don't ignore people. And that's the problem. There are constituents that are flat out being ignored. And if you want to win an election, you can't ignore anybody in your voting district, in your voting space. You have to find out what they need and figure out how you would be able to deliver for them based on their needs. And guess what, Scott? That's a lot of hard damn work.
It's one of the pernicious things about the gerrymandering, about the safe districts Republicans have drawn themselves into all over the state. These big, rural swaths, and carve out a little chunk of a blue county here and there to make sure they got safe seats, and they'll concede some districts in Indianapolis. And then now I think the perception is that safe districts lead to extremes on both sides, and I think what it leads to is that both sides wind up going to the right, and the business community winds up infiltrating these safe Democratic seats, and you get people who are essentially Republicans posing as Democrats to run in blue areas, and not, like you said, not talking to the base, not talking to people's real concerns. They're serving real estate developers. They're serving private school folks. They're not actually serving their constituents, and that's one of the reasons that folks don't come out, because they are taken for granted.
So I agree with part of that, and the part of it I'm gonna push back on. Yes, there are corporate Democrats out here. There just are, and to pretend like there's not is ridiculous, right? But that's the thing about the Democratic Party. We have everything from blue dogs to Democratic socialists under this tent, and yet I don't think it's a matter of infiltrating, because here's the deal. Marginalized communities ain't stupid. We see the boogeyman coming and we reject it. It's in the areas where there's not a lot of marginalized communities where if there's any infiltration, it's happening there. I'm just going to keep it real. Black folks see bullshit when we see it. We told you what was coming with the Orange Menace. Did anybody listen to us? Did they listen? No, they didn't listen. Now, right? So we've been experiencing this America that everybody else is getting for a long time. So I disagree that Republican lights can come into gerrymandered, safe Democratic districts and win those seats, because we asking the right question. We're asking the right questions. Now, unfortunately, there aren't very many gerrymandered safe districts for Democrats anywhere outside of urban areas.
Right.
So let's be clear. Now, yes, there are some corporate Democrats who capitulate to corporate America, but there's also some corporations who are civically responsible. So I think back to RFRA. I think back to how the NCAA was like, dog, what are you doing? I think about how Lilly and Cummings were all like, what are y'all doing? You guys are going to kill us by having this bill that says that it's okay for Indiana to discriminate against the LGBTQ plus community. We're going to have a hard time recruiting in Indianapolis. We're going to have a hard time retaining families in Indianapolis. We're going to have a hard time. So there are some corporations that have pushed back on bad policy. And when the corporate Indianapolis pushed back on bad policy, what did Pence do? Well, we're going back and revise this thing. And they did. So it's twofold. There are corporations who can be responsible citizens and stand up for things. And then there are also Democrats who are looking at the dollar and that are looking at how they look good on posters and all of that. So I'm not saying, those things don't happen, but they can't infiltrate if they're coming in and talking. And if you look at all of the Black representatives in our state house come from urban areas. So I don't think most of those candidates are Republican light. I don't think Robin Shackelford, Cherish Pryor, I don't think Jackson up in Lake County or Smith up in Lake County are Republican light. No, but those are the Democratic strongholds. It's in those places outside of urban Indiana, and that are having that issue, not us.
Well, but I mean, in Indianapolis, we see that there's pushback. There's folks in the community, and I'm looking from the outside, so you can speak to this a hell of a lot better than I can. But some of the folks that I follow speak on this. If you look at this, the data center thing, and certain city councilors are
Ron Gibson. About that. Ron Gibson, who is my city councilor,
and certain others who push back, and then like the charter school thing, like certain city councilors are on boards for these charter school organizations, and
they're not too much,
they're bread buttered there, and so like you're saying, the community is not a monolith, is what I'm saying.
We can't afford to be single issue voters. We can't afford to be single issue voters. We don't have the luxury. to be single issue voters. I disagree vehemently with Ron Gibson on this data center thing because it's my community and it's my district, right? I disagree with him 100%, but I bet I could sit down and find, 5 other areas of legislation or policy that we do agree on. I disagree vehemently with Maggie Lewis and the charter schools, but I know I can find 5 or 6 other areas that we can agree on. I've talked to Maggie and I talk. Like, the thing is that people assume that you can be Black people can't afford to be single issue voters because if the single issue is equal access, if there's ever a single issue, it would be equal access and maybe police brutality. But I can't even stick to one. We cannot afford to just be like, oh, well, he's not for data center. He's for these data centers. I'm just going to throw him under the bus. But what we can do is we can primary them. We can get if you feel like he's not representing you the right way, you have the right based on the Indiana Constitution to put your name on the ballot and put your case before the voters. But I don't think because Maggie Lewis is down with charters or because Ron Gibson is for these data centers that they're Republican light. No way. We're not single issue voters.
Yeah. You talk about like you read my mind, like you know where I want to go. You like set me up. You put this thing on a tee. Say like, hey, put your name on the ballot. Get in there. Do something about it now.
Yeah.
In Marion County this week, we're seeing a little bit of an issue where a bunch of folks try to do just that. They're like, I'm gonna get involved. I'm gonna put my name on the ballot. I'm gonna run for precinct committee person. I'm gonna run for delegate for the state party. And Maya Eldridge, Marion County Democratic Party chair, says, like hell you do, challenges like 100 of these folks. And I know some of the people who were doing some of the organizing, getting people to sign up for these positions up there. It seems like it is targeted against folks of a certain political persuasion. And maybe you can speak to that better than I can. That's just the perception that I see.
Yeah, perception is very seldom reality, though. So here's the deal. I don't know why the 100+ folks who are being challenged are being challenged. I don't know their individual reasoning, right? I have no idea. But we have rules. And I put my name on the ballot. I wasn't challenged. I know other people who put their names on the ballot who weren't challenged. We know the rules. So one thing that I will say is I, again, love the fact that there are people really ready to step up and put their name on the ballot, to run for PC, to run for delegate. I know that Samantha Douglas and Carla Lopez Owens hosted multiple trainings on how to put yourself on the ballot, what the requirements were, what the rules are, all of that. People needed to show up to that training so they would know what to do. A lot of people don't know the rules. They sign up for a thing, but don't always know the rules. I don't know if there was something within the rules that say these people can't get on. I don't know. But if you signed up to be a PC and you hadn't voted you didn't pull a Democratic ballot in the last primary, that disqualifies you. That's the rule. Second, also in that email that she sent out, she says, hey, I have to challenge you to put you on the ballot because you may not have met the requirement, but let's have a conversation because I can still appoint you. People forget that part. Like, I know the saying elected, you're protected, and I get all that, but it's not like she's saying don't participate. She literally said, I'm challenging you for this, and it's her prerogative to do that. I know people are like, well, she doesn't have to. No, she doesn't. But what if 2 or 3 of those people who didn't pull a Democratic ballot pull Republican ballots? Does she just give an exception to everybody and then mess around and get Republicans in? So she says everybody's disqualified, but if you come and talk to me, I can appoint you. She doesn't know. Do you think she knows all 100 of those people?
Oh my
God. Do you think she knows all 100 of those people? Think about this, y'all. All the things that the chair has to do. Do you think she knows each and every one of them? You know what they did? They said, of these candidates, who pulled the primary ballot? Who met the minimum requirements? Oh, these people didn't. Let's send this email out. But hey, they may be doing stuff in good standing. Let's get them back in and let's see if we can find a way to keep them involved. All you hear is they're being challenged. They're being challenged because they didn't meet whatever the rule was. And they didn't meet the rule because maybe they didn't know, they hadn't been taught. But even if you didn't know the rule, that email, because I read the email, I got it multiple ways. It was sent to me a gazillion damn ways. It also said, hey, if you're still interested, let's talk so we could talk about getting you appointed. So, I mean, is she really trying to target people, or is she really trying to say, hey, we got to follow the rules and we want to bring you in. Let's figure out how to do that.
And I guess we'll hear more about it as this saga plays out, as people's stories come out and they say, well, hey, maybe I did have all my stuff in order, or maybe I didn't. And
then if they do, guess what?
We're gonna find out.
And if they do have all their ducks in a row and it was a mistake, guess what? They get to stay on the ballot.
If they can be at the county building at 10 a.m. on a Friday.
I understand. And I know that's frustrating. I don't discount discount the inconvenience of it. Like, I wouldn't be able to make it because I work on Friday mornings. So if I was being challenged, I wouldn't be able to make it. But I would have sent an email and say, I can't make this hearing. So if I'm being challenged, let's figure out how I can get appointed. I've been an appointed PC once, and now I'm an elected PC, and I'm running again. But I might lose because there's 3 other people running against me. So, I mean, again, I think the perception is not always reality. And people and I'm not discrediting how frustrated they feel about the fact that you told us to get engaged, you told us to run for PC, and now you're challenging me. I get the frustration, but did you follow the rules? That's the question I ask. I don't know the answer to that. Only they know the answer. And if you didn't follow the rules, Mila said, hey, let's figure out how we can get you appointed. And the perception is that she's just dumping people for the sake of dumping people. Well, if I'm dumping people just for the sake of dumping people, why would I ask you to come on back and be appointed? Does that make sense to anybody? Doesn't make sense to me. If I don't want you, I'm not going to ask you to let me appoint you. I don't know. That's just me.
We're going to have to pick this up next time, and we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. I'm going to be with you on Turn Left. I'm really excited to be on the other side of the camera for once. It's going to be a blast. But for now, let me go ahead and read the closing credits here, Dana. You stick around for me real quick. But thank you, number one, so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And thanks everybody who's been watching and listening. Thank you for joining us. One last reminder to please consider supporting Who's Left and the wider Progressive Indiana Network with a paid subscription if you're able. This independent media project relies solely on the generosity of kind patrons like you to make this information available for free to everybody. Again, that's at progressiveindiana.net. We could also really use a follow on social media at Progressive Indiana Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the same handle. Over on Blue Sky and TikTok, the handle is PIN Indiana. You can find me on most social media sites at Who's Left. That is HOOS Left. You can send me a direct message, any of those, with feedback, tips, ideas, or concerns. You can email me also at scott@whosleft.us. Finally, forward the show to a friend and have them pass it on. Let's keep building this project and a truly democratic state, one conversation at a time. Until the next one, this has been the Who's Left Podcast. I'm Scott Aaron Rogers. Love each other, Indiana.